Good morning, friends. Let's talk about something we've all experienced, that aching, hollow feeling when someone you care about ignores you. It stings, doesn't it? It's like standing in a crowded room and suddenly feeling invisible. But what if I told you that behind that pain is a message, a sign, a lesson, and perhaps even a pathway to growth? Let's start with one of the hardest truths to accept when someone ignores you. It's not about you. When we feel overlooked, it's human nature to immediately turn inward and blame ourselves. Did I say something wrong? Was I too much? Or maybe not enough. These thoughts play on repeat in our minds, chipping away at our self-esteem and leaving us feeling small, unworthy, and invisible. But here's the truth you need to hold onto: their silence isn't a reflection of your value, it's a reflection of their own inner struggles. Think about it. People are complex, layered, and often caught up in their own emotional chaos. Someone ignoring you could stem from 100 different things, none of which have anything to do with you. Maybe they're dealing with stress, insecurity, or fear that they don't know how to articulate. Maybe they're overwhelmed by their own life circumstances and simply don't have the emotional bandwidth to engage. Or maybe they've learned patterns of avoidance, choosing silence as a way to protect themselves from vulnerability. Here's a question to consider: when someone ignores you, what story do you tell yourself about their silence? Most of us create stories in the absence of information. They must not care about me. I must have done something wrong. But those are stories, unverified narratives we write in our minds because silence feels unbearable without an explanation. What if you rewrote that story? What if you told yourself, this isn't about my worth, it's about their capacity? Their silence might be a sign that they are unable to show up fully, not because you're not enough, but because they aren't ready or willing to meet you where you stand. And that's okay. Not everyone will have the ability to match your level of care, communication, or connection. And guess what? That's a reflection of them, not you. When you truly embrace this, you'll realize something profound: you can't control how others show up for you, but you can control how you respond to it. Instead of internalizing their silence as a statement of your inadequacy, let it be a reminder of your strength. You don't need to chase after their attention or bend yourself out of shape trying to fix what you think is broken. You are not broken. Their silence is their struggle to navigate. And let's be honest, sometimes we've been the one who couldn't show up for someone else, haven't we? Maybe it wasn't malicious or intentional. Maybe we were overwhelmed, scared, or simply didn't know how to communicate what we were feeling. Extend that same understanding to others. Their silence might not be personal. It might just be a reflection of their own humanity. So the next time someone ignores you and that familiar ache rises to the surface, remind yourself, this is not about me. I am whole. I am worthy. Their actions do not define me. By anchoring yourself in this truth, you take back your power. You stop seeking validation from sources that were never equipped to provide it, and you return to the only source that truly matters: yourself. There's something undeniably painful about silence, isn't there? When someone ignores you, their absence of words feels deafening. It's natural to recoil from it, to want to fill the void, to crave an explanation or even confrontation. But what if we could step back for a moment? What if, instead of running from the silence, we leaned into it? Because silence, as uncomfortable as it may be, is often one of life's most profound teachers. Let's start with a truth. Many of us struggle with silence forces us to sit with ourselves. When someone ignores you, your first instinct might be to look outward to figure out why they're silent, to seek answers from them. But in the absence of their voice, you're left with only one thing: your own. And here lies the lesson. Silence holds up a mirror and asks, what do you see when you're alone with yourself? This can be hard, even excruciating. For many of us, we've grown accustomed to seeking validation outside of ourselves. We feel worthy when people affirm us, when they respond to us, when they acknowledge our existence. But silence teaches us something essential. If your worth depends on someone else's response, it's a fragile worth. And so when faced with silence, the question becomes, can you validate yourself? Can you give yourself the attention you're seeking from others? Silence also reveals the patterns we may be stuck in. When you're ignored, do you respond by overcompensating, by over-explaining yourself, apologizing excessively, or chasing after someone's approval? These reactions are often rooted in deeper fears: fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of being invisible. The silence teaches us to confront those fears instead of masking them with noise. It asks us to sit still, to dig deeper, and to acknowledge the parts of ourselves that we often try to hide. Beyond this personal reflection, silence can also teach us patience and acceptance. When someone chooses not to speak, it's easy to feel like you need to fix it, like you need to force them to engage. But here's a lesson we rarely learn early enough: we cannot control others. Their silence may be intentional or unintentional, but trying to demand answers or force communication often backfires. Silence teaches us to let go of that need for control and to respect another person's space, even if it's painful. And here's the hard truth sometimes: silence is what brings clarity. Have you ever noticed that in the quiet moments, you begin to see the situation for what it really is? Silence gives you the space to step back and ask, what does this relationship mean to me? What role do I play in it, and what role does the other person play? Maybe silence reveals that you've been investing too much of your energy into a relationship that isn't mutual. Maybe it shows you that you've been tolerating behaviors or patterns that don't align with your values. Or maybe silence offers you a chance to recalibrate, to decide how you want to show up in this relationship going forward. Silence can teach us resilience. When we stop running from it, when we stop fearing it, we begin to realize something powerful: silence cannot break us. In fact, it strengthens us. It teaches us how to stand firmly in our own presence without needing someone else to validate our existence. It reminds us that we are capable of navigating discomfort and coming out the other side stronger and more self-assured. So the next time silence enters your life, whether it's the silence of someone ignoring you or the silence of unanswered questions, don't rush to fill it. Sit with it, let it teach you. Let it show you what you need to heal, what you need to release, and what you need to release, and what you need to nurture within yourself. Because silence, uncomfortable as it is, has a way of speaking louder than words. And if you're willing to listen, it can guide you toward the growth and self-discovery you didn't even know you needed. When someone ignores you, the immediate reaction is often one of hurt, confusion, or even desperation. You might feel compelled to chase after their attention or explain yourself in an effort to fix the situation. But what if their silence wasn't just an absence, but a signal, a wake-up call? What if it was life's way of telling you that it's time to set boundaries and reevaluate the dynamics of the relationship? Here's the truth: when someone consistently ignores you, it's a sign that the balance in your relationship may be out of alignment. Healthy relationships, whether they're friendships, romantic partnerships, or professional connections, are built on mutual respect and reciprocity. But when someone chooses to disregard you, it's often a red flag that something deeper is at play. Their actions or lack thereof might be an indicator that they are not valuing your time, energy, or presence in the way you deserve. Setting boundaries starts with recognizing your own worth. Ask yourself, am I pouring too much into this relationship without receiving anything in return? Because when you repeatedly tolerate being ignored, you unintentionally send a message to the other person and to yourself that your needs are secondary, that your feelings don't matter as much. But your feelings do matter. Your time and energy are valuable, and they should be invested in people who honor that value. Let's be clear: setting boundaries doesn't mean cutting people off or being confrontational. It's about drawing a line to protect your emotional well-being. It's about deciding what behavior you will and won't accept. For example, if someone habitually ignores you when you reach out, it might mean stepping back and giving them the space they've clearly chosen for themselves. Instead of chasing after them or feeling hurt by their lack of response, you set a boundary: I will no longer overextend myself for someone who doesn't show me the same effort. Boundaries are also about clarity. Silence can be confusing, and it's easy to spiral into assumptions about what someone's lack of communication means. But instead of trying to decode their silence, use it as an opportunity to get clear on what you need from the relationship. Ask yourself, what do I truly want from this connection? Am I asking for too much, or are they giving too little? And then, if the relationship is worth salvaging, communicate those boundaries clearly and kindly. For example, you might say, when you don't respond to me, it leaves me feeling unvalued. I want to respect your space, but I also need mutual respect in return. If you need time, I understand, but I need open communication for this relationship to work. If the other person is willing to meet you halfway, you've set a boundary that benefits both of you. If they aren't, it's a sign that their silence wasn't just about needing space, it was about their inability or unwillingness to prioritize you. Here's the hard part: setting boundaries means you have to be willing to walk away when they aren't respected. That doesn't mean you stop caring for the person, but it does mean you care for yourself more. It's not about punishing the other person, it's about protecting your peace. And let's be honest, when someone repeatedly ignores you, it's often their way of testing what they can get away with. By setting a boundary, you're showing them that you value yourself enough to say, this is where I draw the line. Setting boundaries also helps you move forward. When someone ignores you, it's easy to get stuck in a cycle of hurt and frustration, replaying the situation over and over in your mind. But boundaries give you clarity and closure. They allow you to say, I've done what I can. The rest is up to them. It frees you from the need to fix or force the relationship and gives you the power to focus on connections that are healthier and more fulfilling. Let's address the guilt that often comes with setting boundaries. Many of us worry that by stepping back or saying no, we're being selfish or unkind. But boundaries are not about building walls, they're about creating guidelines for how you want to be treated. They're an act of self-respect, and when done thoughtfully, they actually strengthen relationships. They help you show up more authentically because you're no longer operating from a place of resentment or overextension. So when someone ignores you, let it be a sign to pause, reflect, and realign. A sign to prioritize your emotional well-being over your need for validation. And most importantly, a sign to set boundaries that honor your worth. Because when you start setting boundaries, you'll notice something remarkable: the people who truly value you will rise to meet them. And those who don't, they were never meant to stay in your life anyway. When someone ignores you, it hurts deeply. Let's acknowledge that. Ignoring someone can feel like rejection, dismissal, or even betrayal. It stings because it strikes at something fundamental: your need to feel seen, heard, and valued. And here's the truth: it's okay to feel that hurt. In fact, it's important to allow yourself to feel it. Pretending it doesn't bother you or pushing those emotions aside doesn't make the pain go away. In many ways, it makes it worse, bottling it up until it spills over into other areas of your life. But while it's okay to feel hurt, what's even more important is this: don't stay stuck in that place. The pain of being ignored can teach you something about yourself, but it's not meant to define you or hold you back. The key is learning how to process the pain without letting it anchor you to a place of self-doubt or resentment. Let's start with the first part: feeling the hurt. Too often we're told to get over it or stay strong, as if acknowledging our pain is a sign of weakness. But the truth is, healing begins when you allow yourself to be honest about what you're feeling. Maybe being ignored triggered a memory of past rejection, or maybe it's made you question your worth. These are valid emotions, and the sooner you face them, the sooner you can begin to move through them. Give yourself permission to grieve the moment. Yes, even the small ones. Maybe you're grieving the loss of connection or the disappointment of unmet expectations. Whatever it is, take the time to sit with those feelings. Journaling can help, as can talking to someone you trust. You're not seeking pity, you're seeking clarity. Understanding the depth of your emotions allows you to put them into perspective. But here's where the shift happens. Don't let the hurt consume you. It's one thing to feel the pain, and it's another to let it take root in your heart and mind. Dwelling on the hurt, replaying the situation over and over, questioning what you did wrong, or obsessing over why someone ignored you only deepens the wound. And often it gives more power to the person who hurt you than they ever deserve to have. One way to avoid staying stuck is to shift your focus inward. Ask yourself, what does this situation reveal about me? What is this pain trying to teach me? Instead of seeing the hurt as something inflicted upon you, see it as an opportunity for growth. Perhaps it's teaching you about the importance of self-validation. Or maybe it's revealing areas where you've been overextending yourself for people who haven't reciprocated. Another key is to challenge the stories you're telling yourself. When someone ignores you, it's easy to spiral into self-doubt, telling yourself things like, I must have done something wrong or I'm not good enough. But these are just stories, assumptions based on how you feel, not on what's true. The truth is, you cannot always know why someone chooses to act the way they do. And most of the time, their actions have more to do with them than with you. So instead of jumping to conclusions, remind yourself their behavior does not define my worth. Once you've processed the hurt, the next step is to take action. Staying stuck often comes from a sense of powerlessness, but you're never truly powerless. While you can't control how someone treats you, you can control how you respond. That might mean setting boundaries, like stepping back from the relationship or choosing not to reach out again until there's mutual effort. Or it might mean focusing on nurturing other connections in your life, relationships that are uplifting and reciprocal. Action doesn't have to be grand. It can be as simple as choosing to redirect your energy towards something that brings you joy or fulfillment. Maybe it's diving into a creative project, spending time with people who truly value you, or even engaging in self-care practices that remind you of your own worth. These small steps signal to yourself that while you may have been hurt, you refuse to let that hurt define your path forward. And here's the most liberating truth of all: healing doesn't require the other person's apology, explanation, or validation. You don't need them to acknowledge your pain in order to release it. Healing is an inside job. It's about reclaiming your power and choosing to move forward, not for them, but for yourself. In time, you'll find that the pain of being ignored becomes a distant memory, a chapter in your story, rather than the title of your life. You'll realize that every time someone ignored you, it pushed you closer to understanding your own resilience and strength. And perhaps most importantly, it reminded you that while it's okay to feel hurt, you are far too valuable to stay stuck in a place of pain. So let the hurt be a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. Feel it, learn from it, and then rise above it. Because the best way to honor yourself is to keep moving forward, stronger and more self-assured than ever before. When someone ignores you, it can feel like rejection, a dismissal of your worth, or an unspoken judgment. But here's a powerful perspective to consider: what if their silence wasn't just an ending, but also an invitation to begin something new? What if being ignored is a sign that it's time to grow, evolve, and elevate yourself? Growth is often hidden in life's most uncomfortable moments, and being ignored is no exception. Think about it, growth is rarely comfortable. It often requires us to confront situations that challenge our ego, stretch our patience, and force us to reevaluate our actions, values, and priorities. When someone ignores you, it can feel personal, but it's also an opportunity, a mirror reflecting what you need to address within yourself. Instead of focusing on their silence, focus on what this moment is asking of you. This isn't about changing yourself to win someone's approval. It's about stepping into a version of yourself that no longer seeks it. One way to grow from this experience is to embrace self-reflection. Ask yourself, what is this situation revealing about me? When someone ignores you, it might highlight insecurities you didn't realize were there. For instance, do you find yourself overanalyzing their silence, replaying conversations in your head, or feeling a deep sense of unworthiness? These reactions are not signs of failure, they're signs of areas where you can grow. They're signals pointing to the places where you need to strengthen your confidence, self-esteem, and emotional independence. Growth also comes from asking hard but honest questions. For example, have I been too dependent on external validation? Have I been overextending myself for people who don't reciprocate? Am I afraid to let go of relationships that no longer serve me? These aren't easy questions to answer, but they're necessary if you want to use this experience as a catalyst for growth. Another way to grow is by building resilience. When someone ignores you, it's easy to take it personally and let it affect your self-worth. But resilience is about learning how to navigate rejection without letting it define you. It's about saying, this hurt me, but it won't stop me. Resilience allows you to move forward with strength and grace, using the pain as fuel for your journey instead of a roadblock. Personal growth also means learning to prioritize the relationships and spaces that nurture you. When someone ignores you, it's a chance to reevaluate where you're investing your time and energy. Are you pouring yourself into relationships that are one-sided? Are you chasing after people who don't see your worth? This experience might be life's way of nudging you to focus on the people who do value you, the ones who show up, listen, and reciprocate. It's a reminder to invest in connections that are life-giving, not draining. Growth isn't just about relationships with others, it's also about your relationship with yourself. Use this moment to deepen your self-awareness. Explore the parts of you that crave attention or validation and ask yourself why. Begin to nurture the parts of you that feel hurt by silence, not by seeking external reassurance, but by providing that reassurance to yourself. Speak kindly to yourself, reminding yourself that your value isn't tied to how someone else treats you. Here's another crucial aspect of growth: learning to let go. Often we cling to relationships, situations, or people out of fear of being alone, fear of change, or fear of what it means if they leave. But letting go doesn't mean you've failed, it means you've grown. It means you've recognized that not everyone is meant to stay in your life forever. And that's okay. Some people come into our lives to teach us lessons, and their departure is a sign that their role in our story is complete. As you grow, you'll also notice something remarkable: the way you respond to being ignored will change. Instead of reacting with hurt or desperation, you'll begin to see their silence as a reflection of where they are, not where you are. You'll recognize that their inability to communicate or engage doesn't diminish your worth, it simply reveals their limitations. And as you grow, you'll realize that your energy is far too precious to be spent on people who don't value it. Growth is also about gratitude. That might sound counterintuitive. How can you feel gratitude for someone ignoring you? But think about it: their silence pushed you to reflect, to set boundaries, and to focus on yourself. It challenged you to grow in ways you might not have otherwise. In a strange way, their absence has become a gift, a turning point that propelled you closer to your own potential. Remember that growth is a process, not an overnight transformation. You won't wake up one day and suddenly feel completely healed or unbothered. But each time you choose to learn from the hurt instead of staying stuck in it, you take a step forward. Each time you prioritize your own well-being over seeking someone else's attention, you grow a little stronger. So use the sign, use the hurt, use the silence. Let it be the soil in which you plant new seeds, seeds of self-awareness, self-respect, and self-worth. And as you water those seeds with patience, compassion, and resilience, you'll find yourself blossoming into a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled than ever before. Growth is never easy, but it is always worth it. And one day, when you look back on this moment, you'll realize that being ignored wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a new chapter, a stronger you, and a life that's built on your own terms. Would you like further adjustments or additional inspiration for this section? Let me know. When someone ignores you, it can feel deeply personal, like a wound to your heart and your worth. But let this truth settle into your spirit. Their silence is not the final word in your story. It hurts, yes, but it's also a sign to pause, reflect, and rediscover the strength within you. It's a sign to recognize that their behavior often says more about them than it does about you. It's an opportunity to learn from the silence, to set boundaries that protect your peace, and to honor your emotional needs without apology. It's a reminder that while it's okay to feel hurt, you don't have to stay stuck in that pain. You have the power to process it, to heal, and to rise above it. Most importantly, it's a sign to grow, to step into a stronger version of yourself, to shift your energy toward people and spaces that value you, and to stand tall in your worth even when others fail to see it. The discomfort of being ignored is not a dead end, it's a doorway, a pathway leading you closer to the person you are meant to become. So when you face the sting of being ignored, remind yourself of this: you are not defined by how others treat you. You are defined by how you respond, how you rise, and how you grow. Let their silence push you forward, not hold you back. Let it teach you to focus on your growth, your boundaries, and your inner peace.